software, and here's another one of our best practices and key insights on implementing objectives and key results, or OKRs, uh, in your company or with your team if you're a frontline manager, or for any C-level executive, it will be for their business unit or for the company itself. And the focus with these best practices and key insights that we're doing is to make them short and easily understandable, but also the real emphasis is the practical approach of implementing the process of managing your companies and teams and business units with clear, measurable objectives. It's one of the challenges for many companies is they read a lot of information online, and a lot of the ideas that they read about are actually easier to read about than implement. And the key is practical, pragmatic, and simple approach to implement OKRs and use them. And today's lesson is on how OKRs are different from MBOs, SMART goals, KPIs, etc. And we'll try to be as detailed as possible without making it overcomplicated, but hopefully you'll appreciate today's lessons. So really quickly, you probably know about Atiim. It's software, and Atiim is a simple OKR goal setting, tracking, and achievement platform trusted by high-performing companies globally. And again, a lesson of OKRs versus classic goals methods. Let's define OKRs. So our definition is very simply this: a management approach or methodology used to align everyone at your company, focus everyone's effort on what really matters, and makes all progress measurable so that you can achieve your top corporate objectives and accelerate your business performance and results. So the key concepts are alignment across your company-wide, right? Focus on what matters, right? Not have an inefficient, defocused process and effort at your organization. Make sure the progress is measurable as opposed to tracking tasks or activity and effort, which are the inputs and not the outcomes. And those are not really measurable, and saying, we've accomplished, 20 tasks or 50 tasks this week as a team, it may not mean a lot, right? Just putting in a lot of effort and being busy doesn't mean you're busy on the right things. It doesn't mean you're effective. And in terms of measuring whether you're working on the right things, that's about results, and that's purely objectives. That's not tasks. That's not activities. We actually have another lesson like this one that we recorded that you may appreciate and like, and it's specifically about how OKRs or objectives or goals are different from tasks and activities and projects. They're very different. And the point is to make progress measurable, not just measuring how many tasks were done, but actually, measure progress towards real intended and planned results. So, and you may again want to watch that video. So let's move forward and talk about how John Doerr defines OKRs. And he says the OKRs are a management methodology that helps to ensure that your company focuses efforts on the same important issues throughout the organization. And objectives and key results are a collaborative goal-setting protocol for companies, teams, and individuals. And that's from his book, Measure What Matters, which I really recommend. Really great book, and very approachable, right? You can easily learn a couple of simple ideas out of that book and implement it, for your team or for your company. Google made OKRs really popular at this time when we're recording this in August of 2018. There's over 600,000 global views. By the time you may be watching it later, there will be maybe closer to 1 million global views, and that's only in the past few years, and watched primarily by business managers and executives, right? So how do you get so many people excited to watch almost an hour and a half worth of content about setting objectives? Well, because it's a system that really works, and Google has embraced it and has shared it with the world at large. You can also learn more about how Google used OKRs in this another great book, Work Rules, by former SVP of People and People Operations at Google, Laszlo Bock. So let's start talking about the difference of OKRs from MBOs? Well, Peter Drucker, who's known as the Dean of Modern Management, he wrote The Practice of Management and talked about management by objectives. Andy Grove at Intel took MBOs and then slightly modified their use and applied a couple of key principles at Intel and called them Intel MBOs. And then John Doerr learned from Andy Grove and started teaching his portfolio companies. And John Doerr, as you all know, is a world-renowned investor. He backed companies like Google and Amazon and many others. And he introduced Google in the famous story that he has in his book to OKRs, and then wrote about OKRs in his book Measure What Matters. But OKRs are originally known as Intel MBOs, and Intel MBOs are rooted in Peter Drucker's MBOs. So they're all interrelated. All of the goal setting methods are very interrelated. They're not like completely entirely uh, different from a fundamental perspective. They're not. And actually, you could say that OKRs are really MBOs with a couple of additional criteria. And I hope that simplifies it for you. So if you're an executive or a manager and you've been using MBOs for many, many years, OKRs are not that much different. They're MBOs with a couple of additional criteria, which we will cover on the next couple of slides. But they're all interrelated and they're all about achieving the results at the end of the day. So what are the advantages of OKRs versus MBOs and also SMART goals? Well, first of all, we already talked about MBOs, but SMART goals are really just, it's an acronym for how to define or how to write out or wordsmith your goals of any kind. SMART can apply to MBOs or to OKRs or just be standalone. It simply means that make sure that your goals are specific, measurable, and some folks call A attainable, but then they refer to R as realistic, which to me is redundant. So I think of A is aggressive or ambitious or aspirational. Pick one, they all mean the same, but R means realistic. So it's this balance between being aspirational and an aggressive goal, but also realistic. So that means it's hard, but it's realistic that you can achieve it if you put in the effort and plan effectively. So stands for time-based, and SMART can apply to MBOs or OKRs, right? I mean, your OKRs should be specific and they should be measurable and they should be aggressive and realistic at the same time, and also they're time-based. We know that OKRs are quarterly. So, but let's be more specific. What are the unique criteria that Andy Grove and John Doerr espoused about OKRs versus other goals? And OKRs are more agile. They're not once a year, and once a year means set and forget. They are shorter cadence. They're quarterly, so you set them quarterly, 4 times a year, but you check in on them weekly, right? Checking in and setting goals are slightly different. So they're quarterly goal, but you check in on your progress for 5 to 10 minutes a week, and then just at the end of the week, check in. Okay, here are my 3 OKRs. Where do I stand on each one of them? And the process of checking in is meant to be also a way for you to understand, well, if I am behind, like, what do I need to do to catch up? How do I course correct? And you work with your manager, or you're a manager and you work with your direct reports to ensure that they're fully aware of what actions they need to take place to speed up and hit their goals or maybe revise them. But that's for different best practices recording. And of course, like I said already, typically the classic goal systems, they were pretty much once a year and became set and forget. OKRs are also bi-directional. They're really intended to have the manager work with their direct report, and the manager should tap into the collective wisdom of their team of, what the goal should be, how they should be quantified, where we can get. After all, you're hiring smart people. You want to tap into their knowledge and wisdom of how they would set their goals. That doesn't mean that sometimes it's called bottoms up, but bottoms up doesn't necessarily imply that it should be purely set by the direct reports or the junior staff, um, and that is the final objective. What it really means is you're working together. That's really what it means. It's not purely the manager handing the goal to their direct reports, but it's a process of collaboration, right? And again, the emphasis here, the reason you want that is you're hiring smart people. You want to hear them out. As Steve Jobs used to say, we're hiring smart people not so that we tell them what to do, but so that they can tell us what to do, right? There's a lot of wisdom in that. Also, OKRs really emphasize the concept of alignment much more than MBOs. And certainly SMART goals are, again, just an acronym. So there's not much of alignment in the criteria set for acronym SMART. And they're about transparency as well. With MBOs, it's typically about a manager working with the employee with a direct report. With OKRs, there's a lot of emphasis on making OKRs visible for everyone. And I know sometimes it's not really natural. We work with a lot of companies globally, and you could hear sometimes that they say, no, we want to make some OKRs private. I would almost argue that in most cases, when it's private, it's not really an OKR. It's maybe some very internal project or something that is more of a private or personalized commitment or initiative, but certainly not like the OKR that you and I are talking about, where it's supposed to be transparent for a reason, so that people can see what others are doing, and it really inspires everyone to hit those objectives, right? It's a management methodology, and transparency is critical to make management more efficient and effective. And finally, OKRs are really emphasizing the concept of acceleration. So if you read John Doerr's book, he talks about the four superpowers, and it's in a nutshell, they're focus on what matters, alignment across the company, accountability, sort of tracking and transparency and accountability, and acceleration. And talking about alignment, that is definitely not something that MBOs and especially SMART goals emphasize. Alignment literally means that you can have objectives that you can visualize. In fact, this is a screenshot directly from our own product, Atiim software. But the point I'm trying to make is that you can show and visualize across the entire company the different objectives and how they align or cross-align, meaning cross-functional alignment to reduce silos. Again, MBOs did not emphasize that at all, and SMART is just an acronym, so there's nothing about alignment there. But what about KPIs? I mean, we have a lot of people always ask, wait a second, like we use KPIs, like isn't that the same as OKRs? Well, here's the deal. Don't confuse OKRs with KPIs. KPIs are key performance indicators. They indicate your performance. Note that OKRs are goals. So if you think about KPIs, they're called a lagging indicator. They state your progress retrospectively, right? They capture things going towards the past backwards and capture that in the moment and say they indicate your performance now so far into this quarter, into this month. But OKRs are about the future. They're forward looking. They're goals. They're something you intend to achieve. So KPIs are backward looking and OKRs are forward looking. If that makes sense. And ultimately KPIs are meant to indicate your performance, and they're forward looking, and they are a forward-looking target that you're intending to achieve in the future. Actually, noticing that's a mistake, and I could probably re-record it, but I'll leave it here and just keep it natural. But the point is, they're not forward-looking. I missed the word "not." They're backward-looking, but the goals and OKRs are the ones that are forward-looking. So that last bullet point, there's a "not" missing here. In the book Measure What Matters, John Doerr said KPIs are numbers without soul or context, as opposed to OKRs. That was interesting. And the best final sort of touch on KPIs is from Ben Lamort, who is a well-known OKRs expert globally. He wrote a book with Paul Niven, Objectives and Key Results, another great book and more advanced concepts there. But ultimately KPIs are inside, they're built in a key result. A key result can state double company revenue to 10 million in Q2. So company revenue is a key performance indicator, and it's put inside of a key result, as a forward set goal, right? So instead of an indicator of your progress now, looking retrospectively backwards, it's actually forward setting inside of key results. So that's how KPIs and key results are related. If you're using KPIs, they're not totally different or mutually exclusive, and you can use KPIs to look at your dashboards retrospectively, and you can use OKRs as a system to set your goals forward, and inside of your key results you'll have KPIs. So very simple. um, Andy Grove basically made it very clear that one of the biggest important sort of distinctions of OKRs is it's about the frequency. Set and use them frequently, not once a year. And a lot of times you use MBOs or other goals for once a year. That just doesn't work today. Businesses are not run on a once a year business cycle today. And OKRs are, for that reason, very, very effective and helpful to any organization of any size. Finally, if there are any questions on this topic and you want to learn more, please by all means email us at hello@atiim.com or call us. And or if you're interested in learning more about how our software can help you set and track OKRs at scale and have a single pane of glass with dashboards and clarity and communication and check-ins and notifications and automation on goals management at your company, we're delighted to help you. And if you just want to learn more about OKRs and not look at our software, that's perfectly fine. We're always happy to help and just be helpful in general to the community. Thank you all so much, and hope to see you in the next best practices and key insights video in the future. Thanks.